Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I am Matthew behind the camera today because today we're going to go right into business. We're talking about the San Diego Comic-Con 2021 Diamond Select exclusive figure of the Crow. Typically you guys would see my face for this part of the video where we talk all about the packaging, but I thought in this case we need to really get up close and personal with it right away. No screwing around here. So as you guys know, Diamond Select got the license for the Crow at the end of 2020, and they've started making some very nice pieces of Crow merchandise, including some PVC statues. I think they may have done a Vinnie-Made, or a Vinnie-Made is on the way, and we've gotten two different versions of the Crow in action figure form, and this would be that second version. The first version we haven't looked at on this channel yet, but that will be the mass release version of Brandon Lee as the Crow. This is the SDCC exclusive, and what makes this one different is the fact that he comes with his chair. This figure was limited to only 5,000 pieces during SDCC, very limited and very cool, and I wanted to show you guys this thing up close and personal because I think it's a figure to not miss. So let's just talk about this packaging first, and you guys can see here, like most Diamond Select figures, they tend to have a lot of windows so you can see in every single corner, and in this case they do because they are, well, they're basically going for a literal window look here. That's what is going on the sides here. You can see this is meant to be like the windows into his apartment, to Eric's apartment, and you can see like a little bit of him in there. So this is meant to be like very much reminiscent of the movie, and this is a really cool way to do the packaging. Like, I like it when figure companies go out of the way to take an extra step into making these things look really cool, or having them do something that's more dramatic and different, and this is absolutely different and very, very striking. Really cool. It's going to be a shame to take this guy out of the box, but alas, that is what we must do. Let me show you guys the top also, which again has also got a giant window display you can see right in there. It's that Diamond Select sunroof that we love so much. But you can see here it says it can't rain all the time. We've got a picture of the Crow with his eyes. Very nice, very cool. I really like this box, and I especially like the backdrop that's included with this figure too. We're going to take a closer look at that once we do open this packaging. And real quick, let me show you guys the back, just because we kind of have to. There's not much going on in the back there, but you guys can see here, it's got a limited edition label right there. And that just says that it's 1 of 5,000, and you guys can see, in fact, the 1 right there. Now, that doesn't mean that this one here is number 1. And so in case anyone on eBay is ever selling these as, I have number 1. No, they're not individually numbered, at least on that part they're not. So, you know, there's 5,000 of these things floating around, don't be fooled. The back gives us the image of what we're meant to be looking at with the toy in the front, which is really nice to get that. And that's a good looking image too. Very nice and bright, which is a weird thing to say about the Crow movie. Nothing's really too bright in there, but you can see everything you want to see in this. And we also have just a really nice short little bio. It tells you pretty much exactly what the movie is and what the character is. And there is the all-important San Diego 2021 PX Previews exclusive image to let you know that this is in fact an exclusive figure. And also very, very important when we talk about this figure, we got to talk about who did this. And there's a lot of credits here to discuss, so let's just name them. This figure was designed by Yuri Taming, which is kind of fun because Yuri also designed the Bruce Lee figures. So you've got the same guy working on Bruce and Brandon Lee for Diamond Select. That's pretty cool. The figure was sculpted by Chris Dahlberg. I can't recall seeing any work from Chris before from Diamond, so I'm very interested in seeing this guy out of the box. The chair was sculpted by Juan Pitlook, and the insert graphics were done by Jack Tsai and Uriel Catone, the latter of whom's work we have seen a few times previously before. So this was a real group effort to make something very unique, very interesting, and very different than what we normally see from Diamond figures. So I've got very high hopes for this one. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the box, but not completely out. We're going to leave him in this chair for a minute, just so we can get a really good look at that background. And if you're wondering how we're going to keep this 1 of 5,000 sticker here from being completely destroyed, I'm going to do something a little unorthodox when opening a figure. I'm going to open it from the bottom, because I really don't want to lose that 1 of 5,000 sticker, so it's a little weird, but that's what we're going to do. And there we go. Slide this figure on out, and there we go. Now that also gives us a better look at another accessory I didn't mention earlier, and that is that he comes with, well, an actual Crow. I mean, there it is right there, you guys. There's an actual Crow that's packaged with this figure, but we'll come back to him as we do this review and go on with things here. But yeah, I want to give you guys a real great look at this backdrop because I think it deserves it. Man, it's really wonderfully designed. It looks really beautiful. It's not a photo. I'm glad they didn't try and do a photo or anything weird like that. Someone did have to go in there and actually rebuild this thing, reconstruct it, and it is a true piece of art. So again, hats off to Jack Tsai and Uriel Catone because it's really great work. That's really lovely. It's really unfortunate that I'm going to have to take all these plastic bits out, and especially once I remove this, it might actually ruin it. Well, actually, no. That's all right, cool. I think what it looks like, I was worried that this plastic piece was like glued down. We're going to have to tear it off, and same with this chair. But no, as it turns out, they're all twisty ties back here. So you might be able to actually keep this backdrop intact, and that is a sweet bonus, sweet unexpected bonus there. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pop all this stuff out, and let's take a closer look at this Crow figure. Real quick note while I'm doing this here, I'm starting to pull out all of the little plastic ties, and then I noticed what was on his arms here, and this is something I feel like folks should know out there, especially if you're buying this in the secondary market. So Eric's wrists are on both sides zip tied onto the chair. That is, I guess, to prevent anybody from just stealing the figure or just taking one item or whatever out of this thing. I mean, it's pretty well secure in the package, but you can see here there's zip tie on each wrist as well as one on the back of the chair. Big zip tie. So if you're looking to buy this in a store, if you're looking to buy this online, if you're able to, make sure that zip tie is still there so that you know yours is in fact actually sealed still in the box, and that someone didn't take it out and put it back in there, which is what I'm going to do with this figure too. I'm keeping the packaging because I want to put them back in there. So if you're buying, make sure you're aware, zip ties. Be on the lookout for them. That's what they look like. Alright, so here is our Eric Draven now, still in the chair, but completely out of the packaging. I just want to give you guys a little time to look at this chair here. So yeah, this is a very nice looking chair, really nicely designed, very nicely sculpted. It definitely shows that they had someone else work on this kind of thing, because normally with a chair, you know, it's a weird thing to include in the toy, but you do have to kind of go the extra mile if you want to put it in there, and not just make it look like some boring, bland nothing. And this chair has some great detail on it. I mean, we've got some texture, it's on the cushion, which you can see. What I really like is what you're seeing right now, which is on the back, with this really great looking texture right there. In fact, I'll give you guys a little moment to take a better look at that. Look at this. This is some great design work on this. I love every element of this. Look at this awesome bird design here. You've got all these three-dimensional little design bits popping out across the back. It's really nice looking, really great attention to detail. And really, it deserves some extra applause here. It really deserves its moment to shine. That's why I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an extra look at it real quickly. But yeah, as we continue to rotate around, you'll just see just more about how this figure fits, and most importantly, that he is sitting in the chair. With accessories like chairs, it's quite often that toys will not sit in them very well. And when I say that, I mean like they're just literally not sitting in there too well. They're gonna just not be posed right. It's gonna look kind of weird. In this case, no, it actually looks pretty good. I mean, this is pretty solid. It's very nice looking. Kind of a surprise too, because like I said, I mean, I've got wrestling figures and they can sit in their chairs, but well, I got a lot of other toys. If I try and put them in anything like this or any other sitting position, they're gonna look kind of funny. So let's go ahead now. I'm gonna take him out of the chair for a moment and let's get a better look at our Eric figure, just up close and personal. So here is our Eric figure now standing up without the chair, and you can see it's a very nice looking figure again. Though this is something we talked about with the Taskmaster figure review. If you haven't seen that, I recommend you watch that one because that's a really great figure from Diamond Select. Diamond is no longer doing the typical crunch torso. They're now doing what's kind of becoming the industry standard, and that's this very flexible torso here that's kind of on a ball joint, which gives you a lot more mobility with the figure, better options for posing, and just looks nicer in a lot of times. I mean, not always. In certain figures, it can look pretty gross still. But in this case here, I think it looks very well because they've kept the body very slim. And this is a completely unique body to Eric, so no recycled parts here. Diamond doesn't really do that often, so this is all new pieces. I like all the different design work in his leather and the different types of blacks that he has on there. I'd say the outfit is pretty darn movie accurate. I mean, I'm no Crow expert, but having watched it recently for research for an interview I did in the Trek Untold podcast, because, by the way, I interviewed the guy who played Lieutenant Torres in this film, and we talked all about his time in The Crow, as well as in Star Trek and a lot of other work he did. So, shameless plug, check out my episode of Trek Untold with Marco Rodriguez. But back to this figure, yeah, great detail again. Just, this is a real knockout piece. I love the boots especially. Those are really nice looking boots. But yeah, I can't believe I've gotten this far without talking about the likeness. So the likeness was one of those things that I was a little concerned about because, you know, seeing that this was in fact designed by Yuri Taming, and I'm pretty positive Yuri did those Bruce Lee figures, I wasn't a fan of the face sculpts. I know a lot of folks out there were also not fans of the face sculpts. That was probably the unanimous complaint I saw across the board from a lot of folks, that they didn't think it looked like Bruce Lee, and that's going for either figure. I think this is a case where they've vastly improved on it, and Chris Dahlberg has done an astounding job capturing the likeness of Brandon Lee. Now let's do a quick little rotation right now just to give you the full look at the entire head sculpt and the hair as well, because the hair is always great, and I'm a big fan of long flowing hair, as any regulars in this channel will know. And this Eric Draven figure, same thing. I mean, the hair texture is really stunning. Really, really great work on that as well. Let's give you guys a better look at the back as well of the figure, so you don't see what I'm talking about with that joint. So from behind, the back joint does look kind of funny, but you're not going to really have him pose that much in that position, so it's all good. But again, let's just focus on that hair, because that is really great hair. That's probably some of the best hair Diamond has done. That's saying a lot, because they do some good work with head sculpts and a lot of times with their hair, but this is really excellent. Now, something else that I've had a problem with Diamond with over the past few years has been the paint on the face, and how a lot of times it's very thick, or just paint in general and like skin tone and things like that, and how a lot of times it can just be too much, too globular, too gross. But they've gotten way better. Past 2 years, I haven't really had to see that complaint at all, I feel like. I've pointed out that in the past they've always had those issues, but these days they don't have that issue anymore. These days they got it locked in, and this is a great example of that. This is really wonderful, because white paint is very thick at times. If you're not careful with white paint, it can be very dominating. they did this very thin because you can actually see the flesh color around his nose, around his mouth, other parts of him too. Like, it's a nice thin coating. That's important because his flesh can still shine through, makes it look a little bit more realistic, and it works better too. And that's same also with the black around his eyes. Like, it's not just thick black, throwing it on with a real heavy brush. It's like very lightly done, so it feels a lot more lifelike. Like, that's the big thing with this figure, I feel like, is this is probably one of the most lifelike figures I've seen them do. We've seen some good movie likenesses from Diamond Select in the past, but I think this is the #1 that I've seen, period, from them. I mean, I did the Jack Sparrow figure recently. I thought that was pretty good, but this crow is just phenomenal. The cheek structure, the paint on it is so realistic. Man, in terms of like the head alone, that's like a perfect 10. I'd give it even an 11. I'm going really high for this one. Now, as far as the rest of the body, it is still an action figure, so it's going to look a little funny here and there. But it's nice they kept its proportions very similar to the movie, so that part's really good. And let's talk about articulation too, which is going to be very good. I can already tell you guys it's good. Head is ball jointed, but you can actually, okay, you can move it up and down a little bit, but can't move it too far back. Shoulders are ball jointed. He has a single joint elbow. We have wrists that can bend and flex. I already showed you guys the torso piece over there. The waist also moves, very stiff. We've got the T-hinge crotch with great flexibility. That's some flexibility right there. Look at that. Wow. Okay, that's flexible. We do have a thigh cut. We have single jointed knee right there, you can see, and we've got the boot does not turn, but the ankle does flex. So got some pretty nice articulation on this figure as well. That's good to know. So that's looking pretty great so far. Articulation might not be my favorite, but still pretty nice there. And again, it can sit in the chair, and that's kind of what matters the most. And you know what, let's actually go ahead and bring back in that backdrop and give you guys a closer look at him in the chair one more time with this whole thing set up, because yeah, this thing deserves that moment to shine again. So here's the backdrop again one more time. Look at how gorgeous that is. Let's put the chair right here. That's just another better look at the chair without anybody in it. You can really see what I'm talking about with that texture in the chair too. That's really nice work. Now let's go ahead and get our Eric seated once again. And yeah, he moves really well, really nicely and easily into that. There's also one other accessory we haven't talked about yet. That's the other accessory it comes with. And that would be that crow that we looked at a little bit earlier. So again, really nice sculpting. I love this crow. I just like this figure in general, but the crow especially, it's a really great crow. His wings are completely spread open. And the one interesting thing about it is that it can't really stand up straight on its own because of its leg position. You might be able to actually just kind of get it like that, but you know, it's kind of funny seeing a crow like that with his wings spread. So what I'm hoping is this pose is meant to actually have him rest on his finger or his hand, and it looks like that is in fact what he's supposed to do. Let's see, it might not be that hand. Let's try it over here. Its talons are clearly meant to go in there. It might just be because I'm having a hard time doing this on camera. Yeah, I'm going to try this off camera. Let's see if I can get its crow to pose with something. So the thing about this crow too, I should say, is that it does have a little hole on the bottom here. So I think it's supposed to connect to something. What that something is, I'm not entirely sure. There are these kind of holes in the chair, but it doesn't really fit the correct way. Let's see, maybe you can just have him pose up here. I'm not too sure what to do with it, because like I said, like, I can get this guy sitting in Eric's hand, but he won't stay for very long, so I might just be doing something wrong here. So you guys can see what I mean. Like, it's clearly fitting in this space, but getting the figure to support the weight of the whole thing, that I don't really know how to do, because it doesn't exactly balance that easily. I mean, I'm trying to like cheat a little bit and use the chair to hold him up. Not really working. So if someone knows what to do with this crow, let me know, because I really love this thing. I'm just not sure how it's supposed to pose on here. I'm just going to have him hang out in the chair, maybe. I don't really know what to even do with him. So after a little bit of cheating, I was able to get the crow to kind of stand over there. Basically just have him leaning against the backdrop. There's got to be a better way to get him somewhere in this. It might be that you want to hold on to that twisty tie after all. That might actually be the best thing to do. Hold on to that twisty tie and just leave him hanging up over here where he was in the first place. He does stand on that figure. It's just getting the figure to hold its weight up. That's impossible. I don't know how you even do that. But you know, here is again one last look at this Eric Draven. This is the SDCC 2021 exclusive from Diamond Select. If you missed out on that other crow action figure, which is the mass release one, I recommend you get that one too. I'm actually now really excited to take a better look at that one because I haven't gotten that one yet. But this SDCC one is really a knockout, which means the mass release is probably just as good, if not better. The entire team that put this thing together really deserves a round of applause, if not more. Now, I don't want to say this is like the #1 SDCC exclusive that they made, but I think this is probably going to be the most overlooked and undervalued one because this one's really great. I mean, you know, it's not necessarily as striking as the Tron set they did that's in the old 80s style figures or some of the other statues that they did. But for my money, I got to tell you guys, this one is one that I was not expecting to be as great as it is. And So if you want to get your hands on this figure for yourself, it might still be available from some places. If we find it, we're going to have some links for it in the description below. I wish I had more information on doing this video about whether or not it is available still, but I didn't do my research. Sorry, guys. But yeah, hopefully it is still available. I know it's on eBay, but try to avoid eBay if you can for the time being, because this thing is still relatively new. Shouldn't be too hard to track down. So once again, that's our look at Eric Draven, the Crow SDCC 2021 exclusive, amazing figure. Highly recommend this. Highly, highly recommend it if you're a fan of the Crow, or just damn good action figures, because this one totally meets all my criteria as being a great action figure and a wonderful piece of art. So until next time, I'm Matthew. Thanks for watching Nerd News Today, and we'll see you next time.